You know, during my campaign, I think it was asked of me one time where I stood on same-sex marriage, and I just simply opposed it. I opposed it in the Catholic sense of my upbringing. But I also stated too on numerous times, you know, as elected senator, I believe even prior to that, that I always struggled with people not having rights. I didn't realize at that time that it was actually 1,324 rights that people were being denied. So as I started doing a little bit of research and meeting with people on both sides of the issue, I came to the conclusion, although it was a tough, the issue was very difficult. And you're struggling with your Catholic side, and you're struggling with the side of being an attorney to try to look things and reason and try to come up with, the best possible decision. And I struggled with it. And I felt that legally, there was no legal justification why somebody should not have the same rights that I share with my wife, and those are 1,324 plus rights. Now, with that issue out of the way, there was another issue that I don't know if everybody understands, but there was an issue of religious exemptions, and myself and a few other senators, some of them also being attorneys, we looked at the bill that was a year prior, and that bill had very, very light religious exemptions. There was 31 senators, it was 31 to 31. Now, my vote on this issue, whether it was yes or no, it was still going to pass. But the point I'm trying to make is that a year ago, without those religious exemptions, and what we put into this bill for the religious exemptions, basically protected what I felt to be, if you want to say the Catholic side of it. And about 2 hours before this vote came down, the final leg of the exemption, the inseverability clause, was agreed to by not only the Senate, but the Assembly and the government. And in that inseverability clause, it basically states that if any portion or any part of this particular bill gets struck down by a court of competent jurisdiction, then the entire bill fails. There was never any language like that in prior bills. There was never any language like that that protected the church. It also protects not-for-profits. It protects benevolent organizations. It protects them from not losing any funding from state, local, county governments for not complying with this particular statute. That to me was important. And once that language was put into the final bill is when I said, yes, I can vote for this and I can be comfortable voting for same-sex marriage. 2 to 3 weeks prior to this, I said that I could be on board with the issue of same-sex marriage, but these exemptions need to be in place. Now, people can make up what they want about it. I did not receive any promises from the governor. I certainly did not trade my vote for UB 2020. UB 2020 was already happening. I mean, the governor held a summit. We had people here from Buffalo. It was well on its way, and not only did UB 2020 pave the way for economic boost and drive in Western New York, but it also helped out that particular bill, the entire state as a whole, and in particular Buffalo State and other colleges, to also give them a slight increase in their tuition to allow them to be more, be able to increase their programs and hire additional teachers. So I was insulted when people were calling me saying, oh, you traded your vote for this or you did that. Now you have people calling me saying that I'm dishonorable. And I can understand where they're coming from with regards to stating that. It's true that during the campaign, I said I wasn't for same-sex marriage. I also said that people have rights. The issue came up one time at the conservative meeting of how would you vote on certain issues. And basically, that's what I've stated all along. Now, 2 years ago, and people have this letter from 2008, I said I was vehemently opposed to same-sex marriage. 2 years ago, I ran in a campaign by myself. I had family and friends behind me, and when I meant vehemently opposed, what that meant basically was I was opposed to the term of marriage. There was discussions about civil unions. Civil unions were not going to happen this year. There was not a bill on the floor for civil unions. There was not a bill on the floor to have a referendum done. And I actually studied independent commission studies on civil unions, especially in New Jersey. recently passed. It doesn't work. Civil unions do not work. And I basically had three components. I had to basically step outside of being a Catholic senator, try to use my legal knowledge that I have in reasoning and basis, and knowing that this was going to pass with or without my vote, go ahead and make sure that these exemptions were in place. And I believe, in my opinion, that it was a sound, it was a rational vote, very difficult vote for me to do, especially, not being in politics or anything like that before. And the vote was absolutely not political. In fact, politics, I could have sat there, once the one gentleman said, yes to it, and I'm sitting there at 33, I could have said, you know what, no, I'm not going to vote for this. And I wouldn't, be having an issue like some people are saying with either a conservative or a Republican line. It doesn't matter to me. It's not why I was sent to Albany. I was sent to Albany to do certain things. This was an important issue. It was one vote. And I hope it doesn't take away from what was done in the last 6 months. Bringing UB 2020 home that hasn't been, that's been up there for 8 years. A water withdrawal bill that goes along with the Great Lakes Compact that protects the water in this area. Property tax cap that has mandate relief. A budget that passed on time that doesn't have any new taxes or hidden fees. I hope that these things do not get lost in what was accomplished together, not only with the Senate, the Assembly, and with the governor. And we passed ethic reform. So, to me, I consider it a very successful year, and I hope that, as I said before, for those people that feel offended by this vote, I apologize to them. I didn't want to offend anybody, but you know what? On this particular issue, there are people who are going to be happy with it, there are people who are going to be mad about it. I spoke to Reverend Gillison yesterday. I explained to him why I voted this way. I explained to him about the religious exemptions, and I believe he understood why I voted for it. He's not happy with it, but he understands, and that's what was important.